What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 139 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. I'm your host, Zach Malum. But before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of basketball as the New York Knicks were in action this weekend. On Sunday, they hosted the Los Angeles Lakers at Madison Square Garden, and the Knicks won this one 112-100, the final. A huge win for the Knicks to move to 31-18 on the year. Lakers fall to 29-19 on the season, and you got to give credit to OG Anunoby for the Knicks. It was all about him for this Knicks offense. 25 points in this one, 9 of 15 shooting, 4 of 8 from beyond the arc, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Keep adding up the numbers for OG Anunoby. A great game for him, and it was a real struggle for the rest of the stars for this Knicks team. Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns were really non-existent when it came to points on the offensive end. Jalen Brunson, 12 points in 37 minutes, 4 of 15 shooting, 2 of 6 from beyond the arc, but give credit to Brunson for really transitioning after a bad shooting night to really a great all-around night. Almost had a triple-double in this game. 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 13 assists in this game. Karl Anthony Towns as well. Really good outing by him. Really not a great shooting night, like I said. Only 11 points, 5 of 11 shooting with 0 of 1 from beyond the arc. But 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. 5 of those rebounds being offensive rebounds. I mean, really having an impact, down low. And you got to give credit to Towns and Brunson. Even when it was a bad shooting night, they really did a good job of getting the ball to their teammates, especially Anunoby, as well as Landry Shamet, who just continues to roll off the bench for the Knicks this season. How about 23 points in 26 minutes off the bench? 8 of 13 shooting, 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. He had 3 rebounds and an assist as well. And Landry Shamet just continues to be that X factor, coming off the bench, knocking down three-pointers when the Knicks need it the most, and he really stretched out that Knicks lead that really was close for a lot of the game. And the Knicks did a good job in the second half after they trailed in the first half heading into the locker room. They did a great job on the defensive end, and they outscored the Lakers 60-44 in the second half. And they did a good job against Luka Doncic, as well of a job as you could do against Luka. 30 points in this game, but on just 10 of 23 shooting, as well as 5 of 14 from beyond the arc. He still had his 15 rebounds and 8 assists in this game. LeBron James was also really involved in maybe his last game at Madison Square Garden. 22 points in this game, 9 of 15 shooting, a couple of three-pointers with 5 rebounds, 6 assists in this one. And DeAndre Ayton was really impactful down low. 13 points, 6 of 6 from the field, and really just 5 rebounds. That was the story of the game, and I know Luka probably took some of those rebounds away from him. Only 1 defensive rebound. He had 4 rebounds on the offensive glass, but that's not an easy guy to really handle, and the Knicks did a good job, I would say, in the second half, really controlling things in the paint, really controlling things on the defensive side of the ball. They get a much-needed win, and the Knicks, all this noise about can't beat good teams, I mean, the last 5 games, they've rattled off wins against the Lakers as well as the Sixers, who are 2 pretty good teams in the NBA right now. So I think it's a positive for the Knicks. You got to take it into this next game as it takes place tonight, and this one should be an easy one for New York. 13.5-point favorites as they go down to Washington to take on the Washington Wizards, putting their 6-game win streak on the line. The Knicks are a 7 o'clock start, and like I said, the Knicks are 13.5-point favorites total in this game, sitting at 227.5, and you should really breeze through this Wizards team. 13-35 on the year, 9-16 on their home floor, and just another down year for Washington, who really cannot catch a break right now. They got crushed by the Lakers in between actually 3 wins in their last 4. So the one loss to the Lakers really doesn't look all that bad right now, as they've won 3 of their last 4, like I said, including their last one against the Sacramento Kings. But I mean, this team is brutal. They had a stretch where they just lost a ton of games against really good opponents, yes, in the end, but they cannot catch a break right now. And when you lose 9 in a row into 3 wins of your last 4, you're still not a great team. I think when you look at Washington, the Knicks should breeze through them tonight, and we'll see what happens. A 7 o'clock start as the Knicks take on the Washington Wizards. But the last couple of weeks haven't even been about the games for this Knicks team. It's been all about the rumors. And Giannis Antetokounmpo being on the trade market is a huge rumor for this Knicks team, and something that in the last couple of days you've seen that the Knicks are not really willing to part ways with a lot of guys on their team in order to trade for Giannis. And of course, when you look at Giannis and the accolades throughout his career, an NBA champion, finals MVP, 9-time All-Star, I mean, the guy is everything you would want in a player. And when you look at the most valuable player winner, when you look at a defensive player of the year award, he's got everything, and everything that you would want in a big man down low, and some things that really Karl Anthony Towns cannot give you. Giannis can absolutely give you as a big man. But the problem for this Knicks team is they gave up all those draft picks in a trade for Mikal Bridges a couple of seasons ago. And that really screwed them in terms of a trade for Giannis. They don't have the draft capital to dish out to Milwaukee. And if I'm Milwaukee, I'm wanting a lot of draft capital as well as a key player to add to my roster, maybe multiple key players to add to my roster. That's what you get for a Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's a really top 25 player all time. If he keeps things going, could be even higher. That's really the price tag. And of course, when you look at Giannis and his ability on the defensive side of the ball, that's exactly something the Knicks would need in a big man. Karl Anthony Towns does not give you really anything on the defensive side. They need to get something down there. And of course, Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench gives you that a little bit of a transition. But of course, the biggest question for him is staying healthy. So the Knicks have a lot to think about in the next couple of days. Will they give up some of those key pieces in a trade for Giannis? It doesn't seem, based on some early reports, that the Knicks are fully interested in doing that. I think if you are trading for Giannis, it's going to have to be a 3-team deal because you do not have the draft capital to give to Milwaukee. If that's the case, though, then you're giving up multiple stars, and when one of them is probably OG Anunoby, that's when you get me out of a deal for Giannis Antetokounmpo. OG Anunoby, you saw it the other night. When Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns are not having a great day, OG Anunoby can step up 25 points in the game against the Los Angeles Lakers. And when you look at what he's able to do on the defensive side of the ball, he is an absolute game changer, because the rest of that Knicks lineup, where are you seeing defense other than him and probably Josh Hart? You don't find it. And I think that's a real key for the Knicks down the stretch into the playoffs and really getting deep into the month of June. They have to be better on the defensive side of the ball, and giving up your best on-ball defender and your best defender overall in OG Anunoby, it doesn't make sense for this Knicks team. So I'm all in on trading for Giannis and the talent that he has and what he would do with when he's paired with Jalen Brunson. But to give up OG Anunoby in a deal like that just does not make any sense for the New York Knicks. And really, they're proving that right now. They're not really interested in any deal, and it seems like they're out before Thursday's trade deadline. The NBA trade deadline Thursday at 3 o'clock p.m. Will the Knicks make a move for Giannis before then? It does not seem likely, but really, time will tell if the Knicks are really interested in Giannis, and will Giannis land anywhere? Golden State is involved. Miami's involved. Who's going to land Giannis? We will see. Staying in the world of basketball, but shifting things to the college game, as number 22 St. John's got the weekend off. They last played on Wednesday evening at Madison Square Garden. They won that game 92-70 over the Butler Bulldogs. A 16-5 record on the year, and now 9-1 in Big East play for St. John's. Their 7th consecutive win, and it came behind 18 points from Ian Jackson. 5 rebounds, 3 assists as well from him. Dylan Mitchell also had a great game, 14 points, 13 rebounds. And St. John's has completely feasted on this Big East schedule ahead of a very tough week for the Johnnies. They end up getting the weekend off, and that was a nice break for them. A completely dominant performance to go into this little break. 56% they shot from the field, and you're not going to lose any game shooting 56% from the field. 92 points up on the board, and they take that into this tough stretch now. It's not a really tough start to the stretch as they head tonight out to Chicago to take on the DePaul Blue Demons, an 8 o'clock start for the Johnnies, who come into this game as 10.5-point favorites, total sitting at 145.5. And this is a game that St. John's should completely handle, as DePaul 12-10 on the year, 4-7 in Big East play. Fully expect St. John's to really take it to DePaul like they've done against every other team in this really great stretch that they've had. I mean, some tough games that they've had on the road. Xavier, when you look at their game against Villanova as well, a tough win on the road at Creighton. I mean, they've really gone to some of the toughest places in Big East play and really have won every single one of them pretty comfortably in the end. Really haven't come down to the wire, minus that Xavier game, you would probably say, where it came down to the last couple of shots and they were actually losing down the stretch of that game. But Villanova, they really handled that game. 86-79, they won that just less than a couple of weeks ago. And when you look at the rest of this schedule, this tough week that they got to handle, 3 games in 6 days. When you look at DePaul tonight, then UConn on Friday at the Garden. Just going to be a phenomenal atmosphere. And we're going to preview that game on Thursday's episode. But really looking forward to that one with 2 of the top teams and the 2 top teams in the Big East, but 2 of the top teams in the nation coming into the year. When you look at UConn, they've just been rolling through everybody in Big East play. And they've had a couple of close calls, but St. John's has also really ran through Big East play and the rest of the teams that they've had to face. So it should be a great matchup between those 2. But then they have a Monday game, St. John's does. Just 3 days after that, they host Xavier at Madison Square Garden. So really UConn sandwiched in between probably some winnable games, but even so, 3 games, 6 days after not playing on the weekend. It's not going to be an easy game for St. John's, and they'll have to handle it, but we'll see what happens. As far as tonight, they go out to Chicago to take on DePaul, an 8 o'clock start. Make sure you tune in to that one later. But let's finish things off today in the world of football, as we do have some news from the Giants camp, as they are hiring offensive coordinator Matt Nagy. And he's going to come in to be the OC after a couple of years with the Kansas City Chiefs. Ended up leaving Kansas City after the end of the season. But a guy who's worked very closely under Andy Reid. Also a bit of a connection there, as John Harbaugh worked under Andy Reid. So when you look at Harbaugh and what he was looking for in this offensive coordinator search after he got Denard Wilson to be the defensive coordinator, when you look at it, though, Matt Nagy coming in after Todd Monken ended up accepting the Cleveland Browns head coaching job. You know, John Harbaugh would have loved Todd Monken to come in and be the OC, has worked with Monken year after year down in Baltimore, but Nagy ends up getting the job after, like I said, Monken goes to Cleveland. And this is a really good hire, in my opinion. I do like what Matt Nagy can bring to the table, especially after working with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. Of course, in that offense, Andy Reid was calling the plays. Matt Nagy was not calling the plays. So this is a bit of a different type of situation for Matt Nagy, but I trust him in this spot. He's learned a lot under Andy Reid, and seeing that Chiefs offense, that's something that you got to bring to Jackson Dart. You want to make it everything and more that you've seen in guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Like Patrick Mahomes, that is picture perfect of what you want to bring to a new quarterback. Jackson Dart needs to learn the ins and outs of that and what the Chiefs were able to do over the last couple of years. I know it's been a little bit down in terms of Kansas City's offense the last couple of years. That may have been due to age in terms of a guy like Travis Kelce, who's really on the wrong side of almost 35 now. And you have Patrick Mahomes, who dealt with a bit of injury the last couple of years. Of course, it finished off his season with a torn ACL. But when you look at it, Matt Nagy, perfect replacement for what the Giants need as their offensive coordinator, and I think it's going to be a great hire. On the other side of New York, the New York Jets also looking for an offensive coordinator. They hired Brian Duker as their defensive coordinator the other day, but it looks like Aaron Glenn's just going to be taking the play calling for the Jets defense this upcoming season. When it comes to the offensive coordinator, though, he does not know much, and they need a new face as the offensive coordinator. There's been a lot of noise about Frank Reich in the last couple of weeks, and it seems like that could happen still, but you just don't know just yet. A lot of reports about some other interviews going on. Greg Roman, Darrell Bevell. When you look at those two guys, they could be some options for this Jets team, but it looks like Frank Reich could settle down as the OC for this Jets team and probably an assistant head coach in terms of what he's done in the past and his relationship with Aaron Glenn. He's just going to be really that right-hand man for Aaron Glenn. And I think when you look at it, it's going to come down to what the Jets prefer for this offense. It's also going to come down to how are they going to handle things this offseason? Will it be a different type of quarterback in terms of free agency, in terms of the draft? They don't have much choice there, in my opinion. I think it has to come from free agency, and then you look towards the draft in 2027 and drafting a quarterback. But I mean, who knows what'll happen with this Jets team? They always seem to find a way to really break the fan base and split the fan base in half. They've done that a lot. So a lot of fans will probably say, oh, you got to draft a quarterback because Aaron Glenn's under a ton of pressure and you need to get something for the future, something to look forward to. And the other half of the fan base is saying, why would you do that? There's so much talent that are non-quarterback positions at the top of the draft. And really drafting any of those guys will help your team more so than drafting a quarterback at number 2. So I'm on the side of really waiting to draft a quarterback until 2027, where the class is going to be full of guys. It's not like we're heading into this season and all of a sudden there's a sign that the Jets are going to win 7 games. Nowhere. There's no sign of that, especially with Aaron Glenn still figuring things out right now. I mean, he doesn't even have any of his coaches on his coaching staff, minus his defensive coordinator and his special teams guy and Chris Banjo. That's really it the Jets have right now, and they have to continue to look for guys. They still have some assistants on the offensive side of the ball, but they need brand new guys at all kinds of positions in terms of their coaching staff. So he doesn't even know what's going on right now. I think he does have a plan. Hopefully he has a plan, and we'll see if he continues to work through that plan in the next couple of weeks, hiring guys left and right. We'll see what happens. But right now, the focus is offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, Greg Roman, Darrell Bevell. I think it comes down to Frank Reich. I mean, really clear as day, in my opinion, that Frank Reich, if you are going to have an offensive head coach and a defensive head coach, I think Frank Reich is perfect for that spot, and we'll see what happens as the Jets continue to roll. The Giants continue to roll as well throughout this offseason. February 3rd, still a lot of time till the draft, but sure enough, free agency is going to be coming up soon, so the Jets are going to have to make some moves quickly to figure out what they're looking for 2026. But that will do it for episode 139 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malum, thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Thursday.